This is firstoffthebike.com's Tri Cafe, proudly presented by Team Nagani Cycling Cafe. Well, we are here in this beautiful bike shop down here at the Docklands. It's a credit to all the guys at Nagani for getting it together. It's a great place to be. It's going to offer some really nice things as well. So make sure you come down here when you're in Melbourne and check it out. This is firstoffthebike.com's Tri Cafe, proudly presented by Team Nagani Cycling Cafe. Boys, we are here. The Eagle has landed. We are in this beautiful building, housing some great bikes and also some great coffee.
Oh, give me an espresso. Oh, espresso. I've turned.
Well, guys, this is episode 5 of Tri Cafe. We'll be talking all things triathlon. The first thing we want to kick off with TA, the big departure last week or this week. Andrew Hamilton, the CEO.
Who? Andrew who?
Has left the building. He's gone. Dan, what do you make on all this?
Well, I mean, as you did an interview with him when he first started, and all the big talk about the new national series, and just nothing eventuated, nothing came of it.
The big thing was that TV died under this guy, and it was already on its death row, no doubt. But
television didn't die. Triathlon television died. Look at this. We're triathlon television now. It's a debacle.
But seriously, though, I mean, we used to have the F1 series on television. Guys like Brad Bevan, Greg Welch were household names, and now it's rapidly being steered out of that direction or out of that medium.
Crowe, Mac, all these guys came from that, so it's killing the entry level of that sport.
It's killing the dollar. It's killing the triathlon dollar.
Well, look, and certainly losing all that money last year didn't help, but let's hope that they get it together, Triathlon Australia, because we need them up and firing. So if you're listening and watching TA,
go you guys.
Yes. Pull your finger out. Well, he says, had a bit of a sting in the tail from Dan Hoy. Well, the other big race and talking point last week was Abu Dhabi, and well, everyone talked it up. It was hyped. It was all about everything in terms of money and speed and all that kind of stuff. From the journo's point of view, Dan, what did you think? Enormous coverage overseas. ESPN.com did stories on it, which they never do stories on triathlon. Massive coverage in Germany. So all the countries that had a lot of participants got a lot of coverage and a lot of interest in it. Well, it was billed as the bikers triathlon. You know, we had Bjorn Anderson and Phil Graves saying this was a great cause. We're going to rip it up, and it's going to be all me. Resident Uber biker and a man who made his reputation from riding quickly.
Yes. Look, I do have an opinion on Abu Dhabi. Not surprisingly, there was 750 competitors in the long course, and there was probably about 50 pros. Now there was still a huge amount of pacing on the course. It meant that 14 guys got off in the first minute at T2. So not surprisingly, it was a swim run again. Unless we change the rules, the races are going to turn out the same. It doesn't matter what you make the distances, the race is going to turn out the same. And that's the same thing that happened again in Abu Dhabi.
Would you ever be tempted to go and race something like that?
Absolutely. If I knew there was going to be a 15 metre or at least a 10 metre draft penalty draft box, then it'd be fine. It'd be absolutely fine. But until we change, either the marshals are stricter and we lengthen out the draft box, same result. Well,
look, let's just touch on this very quickly. 70.3 Singapore. How did you see it?
Pro again. Pro's pro.
He's a pro's pro, and I'm a pro ho.
He just can flat out run, can't he?
It's all we need to say about that. Look, Another great race and another great effort by Crowe. He is making it look very easy. 3 wins from this season already. 2 70.3 wins. The win up in Husky. He's the man.
Shout out to Crowe. Don't leave me hanging.
Welcome back to firstoffthebike.com's Tri Cafe, proudly presented by Team Nagani Cycling Cafe. We are in the house at the moment, this beautiful building housing some great bikes, some great coffee. And yes, for those who wrote in, these are full this week. They're full. All right, Ironman Australia is back in Port Macquarie for another 3 years. They inked the deal early. Apparently it got out and they just had to come clean with it. And certainly it's a great thing for the sport of triathlon to be back up in Port Macquarie for another 3. How'd you see it?
I think it smacked Ironman Melbourne on the head for a little while. But I thought there was a lot of interesting things that came out of it. It's a performance-based contract, so it'd be interesting to know what that
Be interesting to know what the performances are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's certainly.
And throwing the 70.3 in there as well is interesting, and the capping of the fields.
The capping of the fields is interesting. For someone who...
You've used interesting about 4 times now. It's a disaster. This is going to be a debacle. Come on. I mean, look, what we've really seen is that there's now 20 less slots for Hawaii qualifiers in Australia. So Australians have 80 opportunities now to qualify for Hawaii. The US guys get more in the lottery. They get twice that in the lottery than we do in Australia. I mean, that for one, when we're a strong triathlon nation, is a disaster. Number 2, oh, here we go. The rant started early. We've got 1,000 now capped out. The only place this can lead is to the cap gradually increasing next year and the year after and the year after, so that then they're selling out 1,500 and getting their $1 million in the bank for 6 months. That's what this is about. It's not about drafting. It's not about changing the style of racing. It's just about the dollar.
So you don't see the fact that they've lowered the people on course to 1,000, even though the 70.3 is going on as well, a little bit later, albeit. But the 1,000 people on the course, they're actually losing around about 300 grand to do this. They're going to clear out the course. It's going to be a lot easier for people to navigate without drafting.
What do you mean losing 300 grand?
Without 500 people.
Yeah.
So, hang on, they've got 500 in the half.
Take out the 70.3. Don't worry about the 70.3.
No, but this is part of the deal. It's part of the deal, and they're going to grow that at the same time. So, yeah, sure, maybe they have a shortfall this year in terms of the dollar comparison, but they're taking the 4 to 5 year sell it off approach, and it's a magical marketing tool to get everyone to enter because they're scared they're not going to get a slot.
Dan, you said that this knocks Ironman Melbourne on the head right now, okay? I want to put it out there that it might actually strengthen the case of Ironman Melbourne. With only 1,000 people racing for the moment, does that not mean that there's more people who are going to miss out, who are looking for an Ironman race in this or on this side of the world and in this country?
Yeah, well, that's a fair point as well. But I mean, you look at too, is that WTC are a business, so they're in there to make money. So
it's not about the athletes?
No, it's not about the athletes. Really, they could just ask the rest of the world and run all their races in America, put another 10 races in the States, and they'd still make all their money.
That's what it's about.
No, no.
We're in furious agreement. Also, what's going to happen in WA? Like, why aren't they capping out WA?
WA doesn't need fixing, from what I understand.
But there's no drafting problem in WA?
Well, there's a...
Because that's what it's about.
Pronunciation problem with WA. What I want to know, though, are we being too harsh on these guys?
No, you're ignoring my question.
But are we being too harsh on them? Are we just saying, okay, they're capping this, they're doing this, the numbers are dropped? Are we not just going to have a suck it and see approach and just see what goes on?
What happens to the half Ironman series?
Well, the half Ironman series is okay for
What happens to Yeppoon? What happens to, I almost said Capricorn, same thing. What happens to Shepparton? What happens to all these great races that are part of the Australian triathlon scene? Long course in Australia is going to die under this because they can't run 70.3s in all those locations. All I see is a big opening for IMG to say, let's snap up the half Ironman series and do something with it because they can get some great numbers and actually grow long course triathlon in Australia.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you were sitting there in the IMG shoes, I'm going to park you in here at the moment, you're getting out of Ironman, you see this opportunity. Is it something that you think that they're going to pick up?
Possibly. I think Mitch has got a pretty good point because there are going to be a lot of those races that just will be in danger of disappearing. So if you're IMG, you're going to look at the dollars because that's what it's all about for these companies in the end. It's about the dollars. If they think they can make money out of it, then they will.
Well, this is something that's going to be debated heavily over the next couple of seasons, you'd imagine, and all the way up to next year, of course, with Ironman Australia just around the corner for this year. We're not going to get it sorted out today. However, coming up after the break, again, we're going to have a little bit of a go at one of our famous leaders. Well, now part of the show that we love, and we've got some good feedback from it as well. Don't get me started with Mitch Anderson.
All right, today the target is the Mad Monk. That's right, it's Tony Abbott. Now, Tony, you might be changing your sweet robes of Canberra to the spandex for triathlon next weekend, but we wanted an interview. Phil asked you for an interview. He asked nicely. He asked multiple times. He asked through multiple people. But all you could say was, "Oh, I'm in training. Oh, I've got this big speech tomorrow night. I've got this big thing against the Kevy Rudd." Seriously, good luck next weekend. We don't like you, but we still wish you luck because you're Iron Man.
Another chunk of gold from Mitch Anderson. That's all we have time for this week. Thanks for joining us again. Don't forget, firstoffthebike.com is the place to go for the inside word on triathlon, and get down here to the Docklands for Team Degani Cycling Cafe.
You stay classy.